All right, let's jump right into it. So, Drew, man, super excited to have some time with you to talk about your journey. It's so funny because like I met you a couple of years ago, and I met you as CEO of Fireside, and I was running the show over at Finch. But then I didn't stalk you until today, and so being able to kind of look back in your history and really kind of, and then also it's so fun to throw AI and go, tell me who Drew is, and but you've got an interesting background that I'm super excited to kind of get into. I mean, it looks like you were part of the Jaguar football team.
Yeah. First job in college. Pretty fun.
Yeah. Okay. But it seems like just looking at your history, you went right into Open Nest, and then you've been in some investment and partners. It seems like early on, you've just leaped right into a founder's kind of partner leader journey. So yeah, take me through that, because it seems like that first step of you went early on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was funny. My dad was an entrepreneur. He was a sales trainer and coach, trained thousands of salespeople, and was working with other entrepreneurs when I was in high school. So, he would educate me on what it means to, kind of run a business, and it was more valuable than any, business school or business class in college. So I always knew that I wanted to be on my own. And it's actually funny. I got married at 23. I'm now divorced, but I remember looking at my father-in-law, and he's like looking at me saying, well, what are you going to do? You have a commission-only sales job, essentially. I don't know what I'm going to do or what this will look like, but I will be successful, and I'm going to control it on my own terms. So at 23, started designing websites for plumbers and air conditioning contractors, getting a couple $100. And I was like, well, and that's what my dad said too. He's like, recurring revenue. So they pay me $300 a month. And I'm like, well, if I get 10 of those, that's a decent paid entry-level job, and then, expand from there. So yeah, it was definitely in my blood, and something that, at that age too, you're so ignorant that, and
you don't know what you don't know. And yeah, you're just like, I'll just muscle through it.
I remember somebody being like, what's your P&L? And I'm like, I had to Google what a P&L was. I had no idea. And I was like, well, I give it a shot. Worst case, I can always get a corporate job. Like that was always my backdrop. And so, able to make those mistakes. The stakes are also very low. I even was like, well, I could go live back with my parents if this all blows up into smoke and flames. So yeah, that was the start. That was, really the genesis of the whole thing, and the reason why. And yeah, just grateful that I was able to do that. Now we're 18 years later, and still learning and figuring things out as I go.
Yeah, does it get super easier as the journey goes on, or is it the same issues, different circus? Different circus, different monkeys.
Yeah, I think some of that, again, my dad giving me the work, the consulting. He's like, what do you not like to do, and where do you not have energy, and go and hire people to be able to do that. So I always liked sales, and so I still do sales because I enjoy just connecting with people and figuring out ways to add value. I hated the account management. Like I'm a hunter. I'm not a gatherer. Like once it's done, I don't really want to have much to do with it. So my first hire was an account manager, Caitlin, who I know she's still with me 17 years later. So she could go and do the reports and the meetings and everything else. And then the next ball to drop was finance. It was probably my only C in college was financial accounting. I understand it a little bit, but it's not my strength. And I remember being so proud. I had my budget together, everything. I was like, this is great, got it all. And then IRS debits like $5,000 out of my account that I didn't account for. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make my limited payroll to figure it out. So hired Angie, who's also been with me for 16 years, to run the day-to-day, the finance, the whole budget, and just kept chipping away. So I think it has gotten easier because there's still problems to solve, but the problems that I'm solving are very well suited for where my strength lies. So,
well, God, what a master class of learning. It's funny because you're the 12th kind of founder CEO kind of I've talked to, and I think it's taken. You were very fortunate to have your dad like very early tell you focus on the stuff you're good at and you're not. And so it's been interesting because a lot of people are like, man, it's taken me a long time to realize it's okay to sub out the things you're not good at and focus all your energy on building the business, and also not being trapped working in it so much that you can't get that scale and think past and look out 12 months, So what an amazing, so let me ask you a question, and feel free to ad lib on that one. But what was it when you, so working by yourself and you're doing a lot of it for probably a couple of years by yourself, what was it like for you to have to bring on another person? Like, how did that change your mindset on kind of how you were thinking, man, now I'm a kind of a company, right? And so what were some of the things that was that a scary moment? Was that like, no, this is my dad's teachings, I'm on it?
It was definitely scary. I mean, I think I was making $10,000 a month at 25, so I was making a decent income, but I hated a lot of the work. So I was at the time hire someone for $3,000 a month and pay myself $7,000 a month. I'm like, that feels fair enough of a trade, and again, opens up my energy and focus to do the things to go find more versus trying to do the things that I wasn't good at, of like nurturing and managing those relationships. But it's a really serious thing. It's not just, again, if I fail, whatever, but when you have someone's livelihood, in your hands, and you got to make that, make sure that they receive their paycheck and whatnot, the stakes are raised. But I think, again, being naive youth, you're just like, I'll figure it out.
And I think a lot of it is you'll just figure it out. You don't have all the answers. Well, it's interesting because when I was doing a little bit of research on you, one of the things that popped up was you had a 93 out of 100 CEO score. I don't know where that comes from.
Oh, wow.
Now thinking back and looking at how long you've had your core team with you, I mean, 15, 17 years of, so that's, anyway, good, nice little testament to you. Somewhere on the internet, there's a score that says people that you're a baller CEO.
I gotta go find where that is. I've never come across that metric, but
I know it's pretty. I'm like, I gotta write that down. So I guess you've been doing, you've been very successful the last 17, 20 years. You've just gone through a kind of a rechange. Now, Fireside is called Sunny Road.
Sunny Road,
yeah. So that's pretty exciting. How do you stay motivated through all these years, and just how do you come in, and then how do you motivate your team?
So I had a couple. It's funny. There's this artist that you essentially submit your favorite books, and she hand draws the covers and then puts them on like this bookshelf. And so I did that, and one of the most instrumental books, and it has a cliche title, was 4-Hour Workweek. And I wasn't ever trying to optimize for the 4-hour workweek, neither was he. But it's a lot of people, his whole thesis and statement was we wait till we're 65 to enjoy kind of retirement. He was an advocate of taking these mini retirements or vacations to really enjoy it when you're still at an age that it's enjoyable. And so I optimized more for the lifestyle than I did. I probably sacrificed a lot of revenue, personal income, but I traveled the world. I lived in Paris for six weeks. I lived in Hawaii for 3 months, and Montana, and so the motivator always was optimizing that, putting the people in place that can thrive in their position. And for a long time, it was almost like a lifestyle business, which I think is a little bit of a rarity for other agency CEOs that I've networked with or chatted with, become friends, where they just feel like they're constantly in it. They can't see the forest for the trees. And I wasn't like that. It was relatively stress-free, but I'm 41, I hit 40, and I'm like, I don't know. I just felt, okay, I have this great culture, this great team. We're all good, maintaining, but we're not necessarily growing in a way that I really wanted. So there was, what is that next challenge and that next chapter, as I hit 40 and looking onwards. And so I'd connected with another entrepreneur, another agency owner, Chelsea Jones, and we just started to get a talk. And she's like, I'm so good at sales, but I'm really bad at, the fulfillment and the operations. And I'm like, well, I'm really good at all that, but I don't have the funnel in the way that you do. So, and it also was just very synergistic with what services they offered. They did more of the design, the development. We did more of the strategy. So I was like, let me have, you only have so many more at bats to really, kind
Yep.
of put your cards on the table. And so it started as conversations, a project or two, and then, we officially merged in March of this year. And so that's been 6 months now, jointly launching Sunny Road. And yeah, we're working more deals in the pipeline today than
Oh, that's
I had
awesome.
all of last year.
Yeah.
And so it's been a massive unlock. The problems are a little bit more complex, but man, this is the hardest I've worked in a decade, and
Yeah.
I'm incredibly energized by it.
Yeah.
Sacrifice a little bit of that lifestyle to be able to help support the team, craft the vision, and oversee the execution. So that's been hugely motivating for me to take it from I've traveled to, I don't know, 40, 50 countries, been all over, done all these things, and still being relatively young and not waiting for retirement to do that.
Yes, life experience, and I mean, you can't trade it because you get. I think there was a post that you actually I saw that you posted was and I'm totally gonna butcher it so you can clean it up, but it was like the sick man only has I think it was like only has one wish, right? And
Confucius saying a healthy man wants 1,000 things, a sick man only wants one. So you got to. And healthy isn't just physically or mentally.
No, I'm thinking like mental health and the stress that we put ourselves in under. I know, like it was nice to meet you early in my journey and be able to kind of, I always kind of like, man, you got it dialed in. You're like, I would see you were like, oh, I was just in wherever, Brazil, and meetings here and flying around and doing that. But it was a really big, I think, a huge testament to you too, like working with your team. They're just not only just super smart people, but I think they have that same vibe that you're, presenting in that embrace for doing things well, but also the balance. And so that's good. So how has it changed now that you've kind of merged with someone and brought something else in? Is your role changed? You're sharing the limelight a little bit, and how's that been?
Yeah, Chelsea's incredible. I go to a conference and I might meet one or two people, make a good connection. She comes back with like 30 leads. She's, a extrovert to the T. She can work the room. She's got a great reputation. And then I give her so much credit. She's, a cancer survivor, single mom, 2 kids, in a very, very male dominated, engineering development realm, and has carved herself a really great reputation. And so I'm allowing, that being where she, again, finding people that are very good at that thing that maybe I'm not as good at. And so I even being the hunter, I was never the door opener, but I like to, I can close the doors and see that all the way through. So I'm nurturing the relationships. I don't have to focus. It'd be so stressful to go to shop talk. And I'm like, I know I should be networking and doing all this, but it's not where my energy, lied. And so now she can go there, do all that. And I can, pick up all the relationships and conversations that she's able to develop. So, and then I think, going from managing, we were only 12 people to now 31, the complexity of the problems, having department heads and people underneath them, how do we scale this business and do it the right way? But, to your point, and I know I didn't answer your second question about motivating the team. This, the agency lives and dies by its people. You can have every process in the world, you can have, whatever. But if you don't have high quality, motivated, hardworking people, it's just going to fall, short. So we invest. It was actually great. I got a little tear this morning because our top retention manager had 4 months of maternity leave. She just had a baby, and today was her first day back, and we got to meet her daughter, and you're just proud of that. You're like, wow, you got to spend 4 months with your family and kids, and then. Erin, who is our head of strategy, she was working 80, 90 hours a week, didn't see her daughter. She picks up her daughter every day at 3:30 from school, gets to spend that time with, flexible vacation policy so that you can go when the kids are out for summer, go away and, do all that stuff. And, we do all the.
And those are the things that really, I find that really matter. Again, it's we're all trying to work and we're trying to balance who we are and what we do. And the purpose we have is, why we come to work every day, but it is so important to not make work the thing that is fully defining you. I think, man, it's your health, it's your loved ones, it's your friends, work is one piece. So that balance is so Amazing. So during, I guess, your journey, what has been kind of the biggest like personal growth shift for you as a leader that you could kind of pinpoint where you're like, okay, things got easier, or man, this is really helping me balance my health, my position and my purpose?
Well, I think, I've done therapy and everything else. At my core, I'm a people pleaser. I want to see people happy, and it's a great strength, right? But it can be also a pretty critical weakness. And so early on, really probably I'd say not even early on, the first 10 years, I would maybe make some sacrifices for either people that are really smart but weren't a culture fit, or the kindest person in the world but just weren't up to snuff in terms of the caliber of people. And I think your high performing A players, it's a quick way to erode your culture if they don't feel like people are also carrying their weight. And so I would hang on to certain individuals way longer than I should. I never really gave direct feedback. So even if I did let that person go, they were absolutely shocked. They're like, you were just singing my praises, a few days ago or a week ago. And so, and again, my dad coming up, he's like, you're not running a nonprofit. You have to run a profitable agency. And in order to do that, you have to make some hard decisions. It's still the least favorite part of my job.
Oh my God. If you don't always feel like you're going to throw up when you have to address stuff like that, then you've lost your soul.
Yeah. And it's not easy, but I've been way better about direct feedback and just reframing it to know that it's doing them a disservice if you're not at least giving them the feedback and understanding it. And your top performers take that and are like, you're absolutely right. This is how I'm going to improve. The ones that aren't are going to keep making the same mistakes. And then you're going to know there's an inevitability that it's not a good fit. So we're also, even in the interview process, there's things that we look for in qualities, and we're a lot more thorough. I would hire people. Yep. I love you. Let's go. And it's what is it? Hire slowly, fire quickly.
Yep.
You just have to make those decisions so it doesn't have a negative, compounding effect on your.
No, and I think you said it perfectly. It's like, you're doing a disservice to the individual. And sometimes, the ebb and flow of business, and some people, they outgrow a business too. And the reason they leave, and again, you kind of have to look at it as like lessons learned on both sides. And then on the other side of it, if it can be a really hard impact on, or a big impact on your culture when you're not addressing right fit, right seat kind of approach. And I was always in the mindset early on of like, oh, we're building a family, and it's like, we're building a team, and I think that Netflix kind of team approach, it's the best people you see, put the best people in, and you're totally right, especially in the agency world. Like it's a people driven success model. Like you just have to have the A players because that's what people are paying for. And and so that's a good lesson there too. So I guess just kind of in wrapping up here, Drew, like say you're sitting down with a young entrepreneur, what are some things you would guide them on their first step to be maybe starting their first business or stepping into kind of a CEO role?
Well, again, I started so young and thankful. I mean, I got my, undergrad and master's in what it takes to be an entrepreneur before I turned 30. And I think this day and age, a lot of people are a little bit paralyzed by anxiety or what ifs or what could possibly happen. And look, everybody's guilty of it. But I think prioritizing the action, failing faster, like all those, kind of cliches that you hear in business, but there are true, because the only way that you're going to build, your experience, all those things compound. And so you make that mistake usually isn't going to be repeated because you've already done it. But if you invent the mistake in your head, you don't do anything about it, you don't have the real-time feedback to be able to figure out, what's going on and what's not. And so I also have a massive fear of rejection. So, the cold calling and the prospecting and doing all those things, paralyzed me, and you have to work through that. Or if you just cannot do it, you got to find somebody that does. And so I think, and I saw this a lot through my dad's coaching and consulting, he would consult with some of these entrepreneurs for the first time, and they're just sitting in their car. They can't get out of the car to go to that appointment for the new business, whatever. And they're like, but I've read every book about sales, and I know, well, it just does not matter if you don't,
you don't show up.
I don't know why I'm not successful. And he's like, well, how many new appointments have you run this month? And I'd be like, one. And I'm like, well, it's a numbers game. You have to get, those at bats to be able to figure it out so that you can continue to perfect your swing and have the feedback. So I think for anybody starting out, it's just how can you get to that failure point as quickly as possible, because the learnings that you apply, that feeling that you have of getting rejected. I still remember, having a cold call, drove out 45 minutes. It was like a paintball company.
Yeah.
The guy, was just one of the most rude, individuals. Yeah. And I just sat in my car just feeling sorry for myself. But I'm like, okay, like, what did I learn? What are the things that I could do better? And, be able to apply that. So
never do business with paintball companies. That's what you got out of that one? No.
I mean, he had like the gun, and I was just like this, and he was like
this,
country, and I was like, hopefully, I came out of it alive. So that was, a huge plus. But all those early days to be able to figure it out, and when you feel overwhelmed. But I mean, that all shaped the formation of our company. Now they're just funny stories.
No, and it is a journey, right? And there's the lessons and all the new things that come up, and I think, God, it's just amazing that you had that early education with your dad. I mean, just to get those, hire people for jobs you don't like, be focused on, what you love. And you've been able to be smart about building a culture that, I think it was a CEO excellence, like, just the book that I kind of reference, but, it's hundreds of CEOs, and they boiled it down to a couple things. And it's, as a CEO, you manage your culture, your organizational design, and your people development. Like those are the three biggest things that you need to be doing, of course, making everything work. But okay. Last thing I'm going to hit you with, like your go-to book. You mentioned one. Is there another book that you're just like, man, that's the book that I either go to every once in a while when I need motivation, or man, that really changed the way I think about business?
So, I mean, I'm a voracious reader. I probably read 50 to 70 books a year. A lot of, I love actually sci-fi and fantasy. So maybe there's
me too. Okay. Best sci-fi fantasy book that you've read in the last year.
This is a funny story, actually. It's Red Rising. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's kind of like a space odyssey, New York Times bestseller, 6-part series. It's one of the 7 books that I have in my little hand-drawn painting. Just incredible writing, really cool world building, and my best friend, he's also a huge sci-fi geek. So his girlfriend, for his birthday, like reached out to the author and was like, "Hey, could you do a video for my friend?" And he responded, and did it, and then they became friends with the author. And now I've hung out with him a bunch of times. It's like literally my favorite book, and I could meet all these other celebrities, but now developing a friendship with him has been really full circle and great. So I recommend it to everybody. I'm
going to read it. I'm excited because I love sci-fi, and
oh my God, I cannot wait for you to read it. It's really, really, everybody I've ever recommended it to has absolutely loved it. But I was reading like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones in middle school and high school and all that. And so I'm going to give you 3.
Okay.
Also, the one I go back to a lot, that's not necessarily a business book, but I learned so much, is the biography of Benjamin Franklin by Walter Isaacson. This guy was just such a legend, and everything from the fire department to he built so much and discovered so much. Main reason why we're even a country was all his diplomacy and negotiations with France to get them to engage in the war. And he wasn't, him and John Adams like went at it, because John Adams was like Puritan, stickler, and he was, out drinking and, doing all the things. But just the amount that he accomplished, and he has all these little idioms about, it's so silly, but think about how much time we waste looking for our keys and whenever. He's like, just always put them in the same exact spot every single day. And then you don't have to waste that time. And if anything, if you can do something in less than 5 minutes today, don't put it off till tomorrow, because it occupies like brain space and these other things. And then he would go through and, he had his like values, and he would grade himself every single day. Like, how did I show up and be able to do it? So I've read that multiple times, and always learn something new every time I do. And I love biographies in general, because I think it's not like, here's your business book and best practices, but relating through their life and whatnot.
Sounds like he was a good operations person.
Oh my! I mean, he ran, printing press. He was inventing things like constantly. He was doing the diplomacy. He's just a legend of a guy. And then honestly, a huge book early days that had a really big impact on me was E-Myth. And the reason, especially if this is more, I'd say, for the entrepreneurs kind of starting out. But he talks about there's like 3 stages of being an entrepreneur, and most of them get stuck in the first, which is as a technician. He talks about like, the baker. So you're making the cupcakes, you're baking the bread, you're doing all that, but it's not scalable because it's all dependent on you.
Yeah.
And then that next stage of development is as a manager. And so you're trying to manage other technicians, but you have to put the right process. Like, okay, here's here's the recipe, here's how we use the oven, here's, kind of a strategy so that we can unlock all that. And it's not you doing it, and you sacrifice, even if you can do something if that person can do something at like 60 to 70% of the capacity of you, it's still going to allow you to be able to scale. Yeah. And then the next is as the CEO, or as kind of the leader of the organization, where you have the process, you have the culture, you have all those things. So it's really tactical and helped me a lot as I try to put the right people in place that love what they do, that I didn't love to do. And it helped me like really structure, I think, the organization to, again, we never sold for 100 million or had these massive exits or raised a bunch of venture money, but we were always profitable. We always scaled. We always had great, team culture, and made good money, kind of throughout the journey. And I think a lot of it was attributable to.
I mean, I think now more than ever, I think it's people, at least this is my feeling, is people are wanting a lifestyle business more than they're looking at wanting to be a unicorn, so.
Well, we kind of, we glorify the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Elon Musk, and I get it. I mean, those guys, but they're 0.01% of people.
Yeah.
It's and what is wrong with just building a business that you can provide for your lifestyle and have the quality of life and be a more
great people to work with. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
So Drew, if people want to connect with you, where should they reach out?
I mean, honestly, my email's open, drew@sunnyroad.co. LinkedIn, I used to be a lot more active. You probably saw posts from years ago that I was posting a lot more. But those are probably like the 2, primary, if you want to drop me a note or, connect on LinkedIn and have a conversation there. So
cool. Well, Drew, this has been awesome. It's been great to actually just hear a lot more about your background. Just such great insights, and I can't wait to read Red Rising.
Yeah, you got to let me know how it is.
Oh, I will.
That'll be
Cool, man. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Lee.